Hello all and welcome to TVM Academy. This is a detailed video explanation of RC number 54 of our free practice course VARC 100. If you are new to this channel, you may sign up for this free course on our portal. The link is there in the description box of this video. RC number 54, let's begin. So in the first paragraph, author tells us that measuring productivity accurately is important. In the second paragraph, he says productivity measurement should address overall capabilities of a company. It should take into account overall capabilities of a company. In the third paragraph, author introduces a study conducted on the employees of a company in order to monitor their productivity and enhance it. And author reports that the study surprisingly found that productivity was not a crucial factor in assigning employee ratings. In the end, author concludes that it is possible that productivity is just a hygiene factor, which means a bare minimum level of productivity is required, but beyond that, it is not going to have impact on employee ratings. Okay. With this basic understanding of the passage, let's look at the questions now. According to the passage, before the final results of the study were known, which of the following seemed likely? In other words, what was expected? What was the expectation before the study results were known? Look at this sentence in the passage. This finding suggested that should have been, there should have been, which means this was the expectation. There should have been a strong correlation between productivity and the overall ratings that the worker received, which means this was the expectation. Overall ratings should have been directly proportional to productivity of an employee. The ratings that an employee receives should have been directly proportional to his or her productivity. Okay, this was the expectation. Option A, the workers with the highest productivity would also be the most accurate. We are not talking about any correlation between productivity and accuracy. Therefore, this is an alien idea. Option B, that workers who initially achieved high productivity ratings would continue to do so consistently. Nothing of this nature is mentioned that workers with the high productivity would be consistent. That the highest performance ratings would be received by workers with the highest productivity. That is in line with the equation we need. Therefore, option C should be the correct answer. That the most productive workers would be those whose supervisors claimed to value productivity. Again, there is no correlation between productivity of a worker and supervisor's perception of the value of productivity. This is also an alien idea, therefore, goes out. It can be inferred that the author of the passage discusses unmonitored workers, primarily in order to do what? Okay. Author discusses unmonitored workers while drawing a contrast with monitored workers. So let's read this sentence. In contrast to unmonitored workers doing the same work, who, without exception, identified the most important element in their jobs as customer service. Okay. So unmonitored workers thought that customer service is the most important aspect of their job. Customer service is the most important. Okay. And in contrast to these unmonitored workers, the monitored workers and their supervisors all responded that productivity was the critical factor. Okay. So monitored workers thought that productivity is the most important factor. So why has the author discussed unmonitored workers? He is basically drawing a contrast between the thoughts of unmonitored and monitored workers. In other words, he's drawing a contrast between the perceptions of monitored and unmonitored workers, how they perceive their jobs. Okay, option A. To compare the ratings of these workers, author has not compared the ratings of monitored and unmonitored workers anywhere in the passage. So alien. To provide an example of a case in which monitoring might be effective. Well, author has not talked about monitoring being effective. To the contrary, monitoring, if at all, is ineffective. To illustrate the effect that CPMCs may have on workers' ratings, again, this particular monitoring method did not have an impact on their ratings. We don't know that. Alien idea, data insufficiency. Author never says that because they were being monitored, so their ratings improved. Because they were being monitored, their overall ratings improved. Nothing of that nature is mentioned. To emphasize the effect that CPMCs can have on workers' perception of their jobs, exactly what we wrote. Just because they were being monitored, they started thinking that productivity was the most important factor, while the unmonitored workers thought that customer service was the most important factor. So CPMC, or the monitoring method, had an effect on their perception of their own jobs. So option D should be the correct answer. Which of the following, if true, which means it's a critical reasoning question here, would support the conclusion referred in the passage? What is the conclusion? Here is the conclusion. And if you understand these 2-3 lines, the last lines of the passage, the conclusion is that productivity is merely a hygiene factor, which means beyond a point, it does not matter in overall ratings. All right. And probably it was also mentioned that supervisors gave more importance to attendance accuracy and customer satisfaction, which means, let me write it down in simple mathematical form. Overall rating is proportional to other factors, and it is not proportional to productivity alone. It is not productivity is not the critical factor. So this equation does not hold true. This equation holds true. So we have to support this conclusion. Let's look at the answer choices now. Option A, ratings of productivity, okay, correlated highly with ratings of accuracy and attendance, that is other factors. There was a correlation between productivity and other factors. We are talking about a correlation between overall ratings and other factors. We are not talking about a correlation between other factors and productivity per se. Therefore, option A is an alien idea, goes out. Option B, overall ratings of performance. Okay, overall ratings correlated more highly with accuracy than with productivity. That is exactly what this equation says. Overall rating is correlated with other factors than with productivity. Option B should be the correct answer. Option C, most supervisors based overall ratings of performance on measures of productivity alone. This is actually contradictory to this equation, which means productivity is an important factor. So this cross does not, it contradicts this equation. If they based their overall ratings on productivity alone, okay. Overall ratings correlated more highly with productivity than the researchers expected. Again, contradictory to what the conclusion says. So options C and D are contradictory. B is the correct answer. According to the passage, a hygiene factor is an aspect of a worker's performance that, okay. So hygiene factor is something that is required only up to a certain point. Beyond that point, it does not matter. So if you have the bare minimum, it is okay. Beyond that, it does not matter. Okay. Hygiene factor is something that has no effect on rating of a worker's performance. Partially correct. It has no effect beyond a point. But bare minimum levels are required, right? So beyond a point, it does not have an impact. So probably we are looking for a better answer choice. Option B, it is so basic, a hygiene factor is something that is so basic to performance that it is assumed to be adequate. Factually incorrect. It is not assumed to be adequate. It needs to be adequate. Okay. We don't assume that, okay, every worker has this bare minimum level of productivity. It is something which is given less importance than it deserves. Well, Author does not talk about productivity deserving more importance anywhere, so alien. Option D, hygiene factor is something that is not likely to affect a worker's rating unless it is judged to be inadequate. So unless it is below a particular level. So if it is at a bare minimum level, it is not going to affect a worker's rating. But if it is not even that minimum level, then probably yes. So option D is more complete than option A. It captures the idea of hygiene factor beautifully. Last question. What is the primary purpose of this passage? Okay. Option A, to explain the need for the introduction of an innovative strategy. Author nowhere mentions that we have to introduce an innovative strategy, alien idea, to discuss a study, okay, of the use of a particular method. The method here is CPMCs. And does the author discuss a study? Option B is the correct answer. Of course, he discusses a study here. So the primary purpose is to discuss the study. To recommend a course of action, author has not made any recommendation. The style of writing is not prescriptive in nature. To resolve a difference of opinion. Well, there is no difference of opinion mentioned, let alone resolving it. Author is not trying to resolve something that does not exist. I hope you enjoyed this passage, guys. Keep watching for more. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to learn under my tutelage more, we have live online courses. You can you get to practice 4 RCs 4 times a week, 4 days a week. So if that is the amount of practice you need under able mentorship, you can visit the website and check out the courses we have. Thank you very much. Until next time, bye bye.